Today, I want to talk about something that some of you guys might not agree with, or something you may not even understand. And it's something to do with this book here. Now, a lot of you probably don't like to read this book. You may not believe in it, it may not align with your beliefs, or you just might not understand it. And that's okay, because it's not 100% about this book. So, the topic is sin. And I wanted to talk about this on a very human level because there's different ways of viewing sin, right? So, for example, the 10 Commandments, the very specific instructions, 10 things that you must never do. You may wonder to yourself, why can't we do this? Is this just because God just doesn't want us to do these things for his own reasons? And that's partially true, but see, God cares about you. I mean, whether you even believe in God or not, let's just look at this on a very vague scale. There's certain things in life that you probably shouldn't or wouldn't want to do because it can harm you, right? Like, you don't want to go jumping off a cliff without a parachute, or you might die. Or you don't want to go swimming with sharks, you might lose a leg. It's certain things that can harm you, and not just in a physical way. There's certain things that can harm you mentally and spiritually and emotionally as well. So, for example, thou shalt not covet. What does that mean? Well, it means that you shouldn't envy others. You shouldn't want what others have, because whatever that person has, whether it's some form of success or some sort of nice, expensive item, whatever it is they have, they worked very hard to earn it. And if they didn't work hard to earn it, they probably don't appreciate it. You should take that as a moment to be grateful for what you have and think about how hard you've worked to earn the things that you have, and the things that you don't have. Set goals for yourself, set dreams to make yourself earn those things. Instead of, being jealous of something that honestly probably isn't even right for you. Sinning isn't just about disobeying God, because even if you don't believe in God, there's certain things that don't just harm you, they harm other people as well. Like, thou shalt not kill. I mean, that's kind of a biggie, right? He shouldn't really kill anybody. And because when you do, it hurts the loved ones, it hurts the people around them, and it makes people terrified of you if they know that you've done it. And it's just wrong. And you'll feel guilt upon yourself too. Most people do. Certain people just don't have that capacity mentally. And, that's a different story for a different time. But there's just that matter of guilt, which will eventually eat you up inside. I mean, you'll feel just you'll find it hard to live with yourself, and you'll feel depressed. You'll feel like you're not worthy of anything, and you'll stop caring for yourself because you feel as though you don't deserve basic, human decency because of what you've done. That's if you have guilt. And then the families, the people who knew that person, they'll never, I mean, if they forgive you, then that's awesome, but they're still always gonna carry that pain of knowing that the life of the person that they loved has been brutally taken away without any choice, without any say, an act that shouldn't have happened and didn't have to happen. But aside from that, and it's like, thou shalt not commit adultery, it hurts the person's feelings. It makes that person feel inadequate. It makes them feel like they never mattered to you, and that, there was somebody better, and then in such a way you lied to them because you deceived them and you made them believe that they were the one. And, well, in fact, you were trying to have your cake and eat it too. I mean, that's just a few examples of it. And it's not even just the sins that are listed in the 10 Commandments. There's all sorts of things that just not only impact you, but they impact other people as well. And that's why God doesn't want you doing those things. Not just because I'm your dad and I said so. No, it's not about that. God has reasons for things if you choose to believe in God. But there's a reason why we don't do certain things, just like there's reasons why we have certain laws, right? That's why you shouldn't go over a certain speed limit in a school zone, because you might run over a kid, right? There's reasons for everything, Mostly everything. There are certain laws that are dumb, like you can't walk around with ice cream in your back pocket in Minnesota or wherever it is. Might even be Indiana, I don't know. But the the point is that whether you believe in God or not, there are certain things that you should limit yourself to, certain things you should avoid. Morally. Because one, the way that it will make you feel. Two, the way it will impact others. I mean, not just sins either. There's just certain people that you shouldn't be around, right? Certain toxic people who don't value you, who use you up, who treat you wrongly. That's abusive to yourself. Allowing yourself to be around a person who treats you in such a way, you don't deserve that. Maybe you like certain qualities about that person, but if everything else they're doing to you is so constant and so belligerent and it's just not healthy, then you're gonna have to overlook those qualities. You can forgive them, but you should not have to surround yourself with people that treat you that way. It's unhealthy, and nobody in their right mind would want you to do that, not even God, you know? But I think there's a lot of controversial things about, well, what kind of God would do this. And it is a really good question. I think it's a really good, like, counter statement if you're trying to, tell somebody that there is, in fact, a God that rules our world. They're gonna be like, well, what kind of God would allow babies to be murdered? That's a really tough question, right? Because we really want to believe that God, loves us all and He wants us all to be safe and healthy. And that is true. And it's not fair and it's not right. And it makes you think, but at what cost? Why would God allow that? That's horrible and cruel. But I think really God puts us through really difficult situations so that we can move forward from those situations and become stronger. And that we can appreciate the better situations as well. And then whenever something bad comes up again, we'll be like, yeah, I am more prepared for it this time, right? I don't know. I mean, it is a challenging question, and I can never justify the loss of any human being or any sort of, tragedy. And tragedies do happen. But you do have to understand that in order to appreciate good, there must be some evil, there must be some bad. That is the balance of life. That's why God allowed Satan to, roam this earth, and that's why God allows sin on this earth. I think I'm gonna get in a little bit religious here, but I really think that God wanted us to be on earth, right? It's not, don't treat earth like it's such a horrible evil place and I feel disgusting for even having an earthly body and the only way I'll ever be divine is when I die because I won't be on this physical earth, I'll be in heaven. Don't view it that way because obviously we're meant to be here on this earth. Satan didn't create us, God did, and we're put here on this earth. And there's so much beauty in it. God created the heavens and the earth. He created the water, the grass, the trees, the mountains, the animals, everything that breathes. It breathes divinity. It breathes Christ, and it's a beautiful world we live in. Yes, human beings trash this world. Yes, there's pollution, there's decay, there is war, there was all sorts of horrible things on earth. But the natural world that God created for us is so beautiful. God made this earth with intentions for us to enjoy it. He wanted us to enjoy beyond the spiritual thing. He wanted us to enjoy the physical earth, to taste fruit, to taste delicious food on our tongues, and to smell aromas. And, we're given with these, senses for a reason. We're meant to feel this, and we should appreciate it. Do not treat life like it's some kind of misery party. God wants you to live. Don't live your whole life every second micromanaging everything, being like, oh, am I sinning doing this? Is this right or is this wrong? Oh, I can't play Pokemon because it's witchcraft. God never said that, okay? There are so many churches that will mislead you and tell you that so many things are evil because they are fearmongers. That is not a godly thing. That is not righteous, because the Lord says, "Fear no evil. For the strong and mighty and powerful God is with you, and he will guide you through all things," right? He is the light in the darkness. He lies a table before your enemies so that you and your enemies share something in common. You're both human beings. He lies a table before your enemies so you can eat together, so you can relate to each other, not be at war with one another, but be together as human beings and children of God. That's what that means. His rod and his staff, they comfort you. They should. God is always with you, even in the darkest of times. If you don't think about the evil, if you don't think about it, it's not going to manifest. A lot of the dark, scary things you see in the dark, those are caused by fear. And the more you think about it, it's like you see a shadow on the wall and you're tired and you're trying to sleep and you're scared and you're like, "Oh my God, it's a monster." The more you stare at it, the more you think about it, your mind is going to form something out of it. That's hyperphantasia. That's what your mind naturally does. Your mind naturally, it instinctively needs to make sense of things. So it will form something, typically a face, because that is how most mammals' brains function. That's how we're designed. But the less you think about it, the more faith you put in God, the more faith you put in yourself. Do not fear. I mean, people will tell you anything is evil. Oh, someone might have just saw that and been like, "Oh, that was evil. It's witchcraft. That was a ghost." No, it wasn't. That was me being clumsy and tipping over a table. There are people who claim to be Christians and they will come down on everyone, and if you look into anything deeply enough, it can be whatever you want. Truthfully, anything is subjective. The human mind is so open to possibilities and imaginative explorations. Anything can be whatever you want. It's whatever you perceive it as. And yes, technically, something can be definitely true, and it can also be whatever you perceive it as at the same time. The human mind is meant to perceive something. Anyway, sorry I sound like a crackhead. The point is, if somebody tries to tell you, like, let's say Let It Go, or let's say Frozen by, Disney, someone tries to convince you that that's witchcraft and it is evil, then they're gonna put it in your mind, and to you, it is evil now. You never felt that way about this movie before. You watched it 100 times when you were a kid, and somebody says it with the right tone, with the right music playing in the background, with enough convincing, and all of a sudden now it feels evil. Do not be alarmed. Do not trust that. It is not evil. They just made you believe that. It's the placebo effect. It's the power of suggestion. There is nothing inherently evil about most things. What is evil, you will know. What is evil, you will get this feeling in your stomach, this gut feeling. What's evil is killing people. What's evil is molesting people. What's evil is stealing. What's evil, it's very obvious what's evil, right? The deep, deep things that can't be taken back. The deep, horrible things that you can't even describe the depth of how bad it is. Disney movies are not evil. They're only evil if you want them to be. Also, I've seen some influencers say, well, 5 products you should avoid as a Christian, things you shouldn't put on your skin as a Christian. And they'll say, well, like, oh, Balenciaga, they're like, they practice witchcraft. You know what? There's probably so many products. There's probably so many things in this world, brands, that do worship Satan or that do horrible, evil things. And you know what? Everybody sins. So let's put that on the table. This Snoopy doll, some sinner made that. Should I not buy that because somebody stuck their finger up their butthole before they made this item? No. If they want to sodomize themselves, that's their thing. No matter what you own, everything has been touched by somebody, and that somebody has sinned at one point in their life or another. No, not everybody practices witchcraft, but let's say they do. Let's say that some pagan made my Snoopy decoration back there, and I didn't know it, and now I have it. What am I gonna do? I can't just read minds. I can't just use some X-Men superhero powers and look at items and be like, oh yeah, that's been touched by the hands of evil. No, you can't. Why? And if it truly was made by somebody with evil intentions, if somebody put a curse on the item, that curse is lifted the moment you get it, because it has no effect on you unless you know about it, unless you believe in it, unless you let it manifest. God will protect you from everything. Evil has no effect over you unless you give it power. God will protect you with ease. It's not even a battle. It's literally just, and like, even if you don't believe in God, you gotta agree with me here, right? That it's just not evil. Like, you just can't live your whole life living in fear. And if people are on the internet telling you this is evil and that is evil, they're fear mongers, and they are no more righteous than you, because nobody who truly believes in the power of God will spread fear. They will know that God is our protector. And if they are lying to you and telling you that this is evil and you should avoid it, they themselves need a reality check, because they do not have faith in their God, in their creator. So no, we're not doing the whole fear-mongering thing. If it's evil, it's evil, and you know when something's evil. You can't just go around saying oh, this shampoo bottle is made by... No, we're not doing that. I'm not putting that on my body. Okay, but you just put on some cocoa butter that quite possibly some voodoo witch made. Like, you just don't know, bro. You can never tell with these things, and truthfully, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Have a little faith. And if you don't believe in God, then, well, I guess you're fine, right? You're not worried about that stuff. And you know what? Neither am I. Where was I originally? Oh yeah, sin. But anyway, we're all human beings, and I want to express another thing because it's very interesting to me. So, in the Bible, Jesus, and if you believe in this, if you believe that God put himself on this earth and walked in the carnal form of a human being, Jesus Christ. I love to think that. I'd love to believe that Jesus is an embodiment of Christ. Wouldn't that be so cool to get to hug God himself in the flesh, just like you and me? That God himself experienced taking a dump and wiping his butt. God experienced drinking water and feeling that good boost of hydration coursing through your body. If God experienced all of that, and that there were people that walked this earth that had the pleasure of hugging him, speaking to him, just talking to him about regular things like, oh, did you see that bird over there, Jesus? Wouldn't that be so cool? I like to believe that. And maybe it isn't true. Maybe it's historically inaccurate. Maybe something got lost in translation over time. There's no way 100% that I can guarantee that it happened. That's the reason why they're called beliefs. But I like to believe it. I don't go around telling everybody that they need to believe it too. They're gonna go in hell. I always felt that was very unchristian. To tell somebody they're gonna go to hell, you don't have the right to say that. God is the only person who makes that final decision. We're all human beings. We all sin. So what makes their sin any worse than yours? There's no degree of it. I mean, I think in a sense there kind of is. Really, the biggest difference is how you react to it. If you've committed a sin, do you realize it? Do you own up to it? Do you feel guilt over it? Do you want to make it right? Or do you just not care and want to continue doing it, right? That's the difference. That is the difference. And that's why I think some people really use prayer in vain, that they take this forgiveness thing too far. I think forgiveness, of course it exists. We can forgive each other as human beings, and we can forgive ourselves. I don't see why God wouldn't forgive us. If he gave us that ability as human beings, I'm pretty sure he quite easily would give himself that ability, right? I mean, anything we can do, he can do better. So yeah, I do believe in forgiveness. I believe I know it myself because it's like if I've done something awful to a person, at first, obviously, I don't notice it, and in that moment, I'm living in the sin of it. But if I realize the weight of it, the gravity of it, how horrible it was, and that I've done something wrong to that person, how it affects them, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What can I do to make it right? And then at that point, once I realize it, yeah, I still feel bad about it, but I feel like God realizes that I realized I made a mistake and I'm doing what I can to make it right, and I'm not going to do that thing again. The point of life is to learn. We're human beings. This is our chance now while we're on Earth in this totally imperfect world to make mistakes. Don't do it on purpose, but when you make the mistake, learn from it and grow. That's what life is all about. That's why we're given all these years. Anyway, I wanted to add something. It's about anger because I think there's a degree to which anger is a sin. Because there was a time mentioned in the Bible where Jesus was in the marketplace. It was meant to be a temple, and people started selling livestock there, and it got out of hand, and Jesus crashed out, and he was like, "How dare you mock the temple?" Right? And he totally crashed out, and he destroyed it. He wrecked the marketplace. And it struck fear in people. And it makes you wonder, that I think that may make the difference, the distinguishment between is Jesus really God or a prophet? But God understands us as human beings. We are his children. He made us. He knows we are not him. He knows we are not perfect. He knows that we'll never reach his level of perfection. We are human beings. And if he didn't want us to be angry, he wouldn't make us have the ability of being angry. Just like being sad, just like anything. We're meant to have these emotions. I mean, biologically, when we're hungry, we're inherently supposed to get mad at food aggression because that is a survival instinct. So, yeah, anger is embedded in us, just like sadness and just like everything, whether it be physical or emotional. And so I believe that, yeah, Jesus did express anger, and he didn't mean it with malice. He expressed anger at the fact that people were disobeying him and that they were mocking the temple and creating a greedy place. They've lost the plot, basically. And I think that's really what it was about. So it was an interesting thing to think about for a while for me because it makes you wonder, like, well, you know, if God came into the earth as a human being, they say he never sinned. But how can you be a human being and not sin? And it makes you wonder. I don't really think that anger necessarily is a sin if it's for the right reasons. Like, if you get mad at somebody just because it's like, they looked at you the wrong way and then you throw a punch at them, yeah, that's probably a bit irrational and probably more like on the level of what a sin is. But can we as human beings really define what a sin is? I mean, I guess it's subjective to each and all of us. But God knows what really is a sin and what really isn't. So we have no right going around judging others and telling other people if they're going to go to hell for that. It's none of my business. Personally, I don't care. We're all on this earth to learn some lessons and to become better human beings. And if they're damned eternally, there's nothing I can do about it. I will try my very best to make sure everybody knows what's right. I correct people's behavior sometimes. If I see somebody saying something that's horrible and diabolical, I just tell them, I really hope you don't mean that. And I hope that one day you mature and realize that that is not okay. That nobody, whatever they say, maybe they say like, oh, that girl deserved, to be raped. It's just like, yeah, I hope you realize someday that, nobody deserves that. Because that's just not fair. Like, another part of it is putting yourself in other people's shoes. I mean, like, but I don't know. That's kind of my take on it. Whether you believe in God or not, I really enjoyed this conversation. And maybe if you want, share your take on these subjects. It's very interesting to think about. I'm not gonna be a zealot. I'm not always gonna be talking about God all the time, but I do believe in God, and I have a very strong, intimate relationship with God myself. I don't think that, I don't think one denomination is right. That's why I'm non-denominational, because I don't think one church is the true church. I just think as long as you believe in God, you have, or not even, look, let's be fair here, because I'm not gonna be, I don't love you any less if you don't believe in God. I just think as long as you do your best on this earth and try to be a good human being, do what's right. Understand when you've done something wrong, own up to it, and just try to make it right. Then you're fine, because we're all human beings and we all make mistakes. And I'm willing to forgive any mistake, even like the really, really, really bad ones, as long as you at some point realize what you've done was wrong, that it hurt somebody, and that you will never make that mistake again. Then you're fine. I mean, really, I'm not gonna be out here hating on people, especially if it's over something that doesn't even affect me personally. But I just think that we're all here for the same reason. We're all people. We should just live our lives and do what's right. If I see somebody doing something that I don't agree with, that I think is immoral, like if I hear about like an OnlyFans girl, it's like, well, that's how she chooses to make money. I personally would never want to do something like that. I think that, sex is a very sacred, intimate thing, and I would never want to exploit myself in such a way. But if she has no problem doing it, then that's her life, and whatever happens to her is her business, and it's sad. But if she doesn't feel bad about it, I just hope nobody is really, I don't know, I think everyone involved is kind of exploitive, and they're kind of, I don't believe in objectifying any human being, man or woman. I don't think it's right. But if that's what you believe in and you think, well, it's just my body, then it doesn't have anything else to it, then that's your life. I'm not gonna go judge you. I'm not gonna get on the internet or go around Walmart the next day being like, hey guys, have you heard of, I don't know, Haley something or rather? She has an OnlyFans account. She's gonna burn in hell. Nah, bruh. Like, that's her life. I'm not gonna go around telling people how to live theirs, because I know I'm not perfect and I've done things that I wouldn't want people running around screaming about and blabbing about, because the point is we learn from it, right? Anyway, I hope you guys found this kind of interesting. You don't have to agree with anything I said. I'm just glad you're here for it, and if you want to add anything to it, be my guest. Comments are going to be open shortly after this is posted. And I guess hopefully I'll catch you next time. I want to build a community and have conversations with you guys if you're open to it. So let's reach 50K and go live. See you later.